Hi my wrestlers, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're fabulous. In this video I'm going to be chit-chatting about my art journey and my art career and anything to do with art and me basically. Just because you guys out there have been asking a lot of questions of how I became an artist and when was I able to draw and all that jazz. So I thought I'd answer these questions in this video, or try to anyway, and try and talk about all my art stuff and cram it into one video. I don't know if it'll work, but let's give it a go. If you haven't joined my RazDaz family already, by clicking the subscribe button, do so now, because we're a big bubble and community online of all different people, and we just chit chat to each other in the comment boxes, and just, it's a little family online. If you click that little bell as well, it'll let you know each time I upload a new video, and you'll be told, and you can go and check it out straight away. So like I said, this video is going to be about me chit-chatting about my art career and just me being an artist in general and how I am the person I am right now. That seems very spiritual and very awakening. Okay, so I suppose we should start at the very beginning. Not quite when I was born, otherwise that'd be a bit far-fetched if I came out of the womb and I started painting or something, or creating a wire sculpture. But I mean, at school I was always into art stuff. I mean, I did do a video on my art like workbooks and stuff, and I always was very creative and found it easier to express myself through this way. I mean, it wasn't too bit later that I found out I was dyslexic, so this is probably why I was more into like sports and art and things. So I would use, like you did at the school, your topic books, and you'd always do like drawings in it and make it really visually effective, and I always was into that kind of stuff, and I loved, like I say, art and all that kind of thing. So back at school I did do drawing, and I just found it a cool way to express yourself. Then going on to college, I did go to an art college, because like I said, I did my GCSEs, but it wasn't really high GCSEs. So, well, my highest, funny enough, was in art, so that says it all. So I went to college, and I actually did say at this stage, with a little secret, I did on my form at makeup, I had more GCSEs than I had, well, higher grades than I had. And when I went in there, I had to confirm that I didn't have as high as that I'd hoped, even though I probably knew I wouldn't get that high. But once they saw my artwork and saw how enthusiastic I was, they were like, we want you in our course. So sometimes it does benefit that you have to be there in person so they can meet you and think, how fabulous are you, and we want you to be part of our team. During this art course I did try out loads of different things. It was really cool, because it's just the kind of stage when you're still, well, I think as an artist you're always trying stuff, aren't you? Always developing, and your skills are just, it's just like fireworks, isn't it? It's always trying new stuff and imagination and things. And as been through when I was younger and art college, I was not very I don't know what the word is, I didn't want to be a trend. I wanted to be, not like, I wasn't the person who always wanted to have the latest trends and stuff. I kind of wanted to set a trend, if that makes sense. I was always the person, because at the moment I've noticed that purple mascara has come back in and all this kind of stuff, and I was doing that already. I was doing that right back, and I was the person who wanted to stand out. I wanted to be like noticed when they came to class, but for good reasons, of course. Because you do this, then you do stand out more, so people do notice you. What you sometimes don't always want, but yeah, I wasn't one of these people who wanted to always be in sportswear and stuff, because at the time there was people who always had like a lot of logos on them and things like that, and I was not into this. I wanted to wear wacky stuff, I wanted to be out there. I think sometimes I have two sides to me. Sometimes I want to be like the one who's out there with all the stuff, and then sometimes I think every artist has another side. They like to be quiet, and they like to go in a little bubble and make art and then come out and be like, ta-da! Because I don't always want to be on show, I don't think. Well, that's how I feel as an artist. I always tried a lot of different things, and I was doing a lot of sculpture, a lot of photography. On stage I was doing like huge sculpture, and I was into body communication quite a lot. And I made this massive sculpture. It was meant to be of a pair of lips, your lips on your face. And when I made it, it looked very rude, and it looked like, yeah, let's say the women's private area, and it was not meant to be this at all, and it was massive. It was a massive sculpture, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to just laugh this off, because there's no way I can like not say it looks like something when it did, and it was my best friend at the time who kept saying, oh my word, that looks like. I was like, great. So yeah, I didn't put that as my final show. My final show was, like I said, I was very into body communication, and I was like looking into stuff like this, and I did a video piece of 3 different separate screens, and they communicated with each other. I mean, it took a lot to prepare this and set it up, because I had to film it. So when you press play, because this is going back in the day as well, I had to be out like video players and a TV, so you literally would have press play on these 3 and make sure they linked up with each other. So one would like talk to that one and that one, then when one was sitting over the hands, and it was focused on the eye and the lips. I'll put a thing up here so you can see it. And they were like talking and interacting with each other, and the more and more it was getting to argument, the more you could see their body language was slightly changing. So it's very interactive kind of video piece. So that was my final piece in my college. So that was the kind of stuff I was interested in, like videos and sculptures. And then I decided to go off to uni. I went to University Bournemouth, so Art University, and I carried on experimenting, and at this time as well I was trying to find my sexuality as well. So I wasn't sure, yeah, I just wasn't sure about myself basically. I mean, I was starting to think this in Bournemouth, thinking something doesn't seem right, but arty people are very like free flowing anyway with things, and they seem to be a lot more open with stuff. But I didn't want to stand out at this stage. I wanted to kind of think, I wanted to work it out for myself before I basically came out of the closet and said that I am the way I am. So I went off to Bournemouth and thought, I'm going to do this, I'm going to find myself, I'm going to work out who I am and grow some wings. So I went away and I carried on developing my skills, and I did a lot of sculpture stuff again, and photography, video pieces. I did everything, to be honest. I mean, I've never been one to keep to one boxed area. I've always wanted to try new stuff and just develop all the time, and I don't think you should always sometimes settle. I mean, there will be a place that you feel comfortable with, and if you start selling maybe art in that area, then you do settle a bit more, but I don't think you should completely settle sometimes, because you need to express yourself. And my piece, what I did in a garden outside like display thing, was really cool, because you could work with like the community, and it was an outdoor piece, was like wire sculptures, like dancers. They were like dancing through the trees, so they were it was like a captured moment in time, they're called. And it was, you know how dancers like express with their body shapes and stuff, it was like that. So I'd weave the wire around like to get the shapes and things, and they basically were held up with fishing wire, so it would look like they were a still moment captured in time in the trees and stuff. So it looked really cool. It was a really cool piece. Oh, I got it up. This is one of them, funny enough. Oh, you don't know if you can see it. I'll put it up next to me, what they look like. And so yeah, that was one of my shows in the gardens, what was cool in Bournemouth, that I did. I did get a lot of feedback from that, saying it was really cool, and people really loved how my work was shown, and it did do what it was meant to do. And then as I was still finding myself for uni and developing myself and all that jazz, as this was going on as well, I was becoming more and more confident, because back at school I was a bit shy. I wasn't shy to all my friends, like close friends. I was out there. I mean, when we had story time and stuff, I wanted to reenact the story time, because I just found it fun and just entertaining. But I was quite shy in certain respects. That's what I was developing, and I think probably college brought me out of my shell, and then even more at university, I just completely was expressing myself a lot more. And then for my final show, I mean, this is skipping a lot, there was a lot of like art processes in between, like trying out new stuff, and like you do, don't you, with video stuff, like I say, photography and lots of different things. But my final show was, I was very interested in billboard signs and like life, like what they're called, roadway code signs, you know, when it tells you what to do, and it like tells you basically what to do. I was saying how life sometimes you feel like you have to be in a certain have to be put in a certain box and things. So I was changing these road signs. I did actually get one roadside and spray paint it, and I changed it to, I think it's life is not a journey but a destination, onto it. And then another one, like he was digging stuff and it was something about, I can't remember what I wrote on it, something about dig yourself out of your shit or something like that, I think. I mean, I was very into expressing how I felt. So these road signs had like certain quotations, because I'm very into quotations, I projected them onto this backdrop that I had of this massive photo that I took of me in the car, with road sign like right in front of your face. It was one of the big ones, and it was projecting like these quotations of life onto it. How when you're going through these road signs, you sometimes are kind of thinking things in your head and you feel like you see it everywhere. I think that kind of makes sense. And as well in the car as a passenger, so it's kind of, you're feeling that sometimes your life is not in your control and you need to take control of it. So that was my final piece of my art at university. And then I did it up in London as well. I took it up there and showed it in London. So that was pretty cool. And it was just, sometimes when I'm doing my shows, I like to do different things. Well, for example, before I did like video stuff, then sculpture, and then that of course was more photography and projection. So it's just mix matching stuff together really. Obviously I came out of university, and when you come out of university it is terrifying, because you think you're up here and you think you're fabulous and you think, wow, everyone's going to think I'm amazing, and then you're like, oh my word, what am I doing? And I had a bit of a panic because, like I say, everything's very in your face and you're not sure what's going on, and you're just trying to work out what you're going to do with this really. So I worked as a artist assistant at a studio place where I did body casting. So basically that's what it says, is you would cast different parts of someone's body and then you'll sand them down, and then the artist would sell them. So I was his assistant. I'd basically do this, sand it down, make it look beautiful, and then he would sell them on. So that was pretty cool because it was down at Brighton along the seafront, so you could look out over the sea, what was cool. I worked with him, and as well downstairs there's another lady who had a gallery there as well, so I'd help out there as well. It's really cool because along the gallery bit, all artists were together, so it's a very creative area to be in. So it's really cool, like I say, and now he's huge, is Jamie. He does so much stuff all around the world. But he's such a lovely person as well. He's so down to earth. And it sounds really weird saying that you cast body parts, but it's so beautiful. And because I like body form and stuff like that anyway, I was just like, this is really cool. And alongside that, or straight after, I did display stuff. So I basically it's more Christmas display things. So you know how for example, in shopping centres they have massive like Christmas trees and massive like animatronics deers and hanging lights and things. I was all part of that, so we would go and put it all together in the studio, and that was for a different company. That wasn't with him, that was another company. So I would work for them and put it all together, make sure it looks fabulous, and then we'd go and install it. It was all done at night, so we would install it, and because that's when the general public weren't around, so it's a lot more safer. So we would make it look fabulous and install it, and that's what I did then. And then I went off to Windsor area, and that's when I became a Legolander, and I worked for Legoland. But first of all, I taught children how to be creative with Lego, but also it was on key stage level, because anything when you're doing education has to be a set level. So I was head of that area, and we basically made learning fun, and we would teach kids how to learn through Lego. And this did really help my confidence, because I'd have to get up in front of a teacher group of school kids ranging from like young age to the high school. So sometimes you're in front of like teenage boys and they can be rowdy as anything. So you have to be confident in yourself, otherwise they know you're not confident. So you would go there and you would teach them this stuff, and you do obviously teach them key stage stuff and make it fun, and yeah, it was a really good time. And then I helped out in models, and then I went for an interview as a model maker. Yeah, I went for an interview as a model maker. In the interview, I won't go into massive details because I don't know how much I should say, because it's meant to be a surprise. You make a vehicle and there's other bits that you have to do, and they basically watch you to see how you get on with everyone and how creative you are, because sometimes when you're building with Lego, you can't always stick to the certain way that you want to build. Sometimes you don't have certain bricks, or sometimes you just don't have the time because everything's done to budget. So you have to, that's what they're looking for when they hire you. So yeah, then I worked at Legoland and I became a master model maker or a creative designer or whatever. There's loads of different ways you can call it. Basically, we were in charge of the creative theming of Lego and all the other theming stuff around the whole park, or a whole resort, because it was the hotel as well, so it's massive. We were in charge of so much of everything and anything what was creative, basically. So we would design stuff and we would build it and we would install it. So it was everything, and we would check it in the morning as well. So it was a whole big bubble of everything. It wasn't just one thing you were doing. So you have to be very quick on your, like, if you got a radio call, you'd have to go and sort out what's happening straight away and be professional as well, because we did do like talks to the general public about what we do and how to build certain things. So you have to be very friendly, of course. So whilst I was at Legoland, I designed and created so many models. I would not be able to tell you how many I made. Let's put it that way. I mean, from, like I say, Miniland, of a pigeon, what is tiny, that's the smallest thing, to a massive sculpture of the Millennium Falcon we did, and the Sydney Opera House and the Louvre. I mean, I was trusted to build so many different things, and with my skills and imagination, because you literally just have brick paper and you draw it out, or you make a prototype and then you just make it. And with me, I could see things quickly, and my imagination was very, well, it still is, very like broad, and I could quickly just pick it up and think, oh, I'm going to do this. So I'd quickly just build it rather than sometimes just draw it, because I could just see it. So yeah, I did love making animals as well, and just because I felt like when you make an animal, it just, as you're building it, it feels like it's coming alive, and it feels like it's actually real. So I enjoyed doing that. So when I was there, I had so many, my colleagues were my friends as well. I mean, we were like a big family, and at the time when I was there, it was amazing. We were so creative together, and we made so many fantastic things, and it's a magical company to work for sure. And like I said, I created so many different models, and it's just amazing how the kids come and, well, anyone, it doesn't have to be a kid, of course, but that was the whole idea. When kids come and see it, because they just see magic everywhere, don't they? When they come and look at it, or they see you, because you could look through and see like the model makers in the studio, and they'd come and like wave at you and stuff through the window. It was always cute. So yeah, I made loads of different models whilst I was there, from, like I say, tiny to massive, and we're in charge of lots of different areas. Each area had like a different theme, so you'd have to keep to that theme, and like I say, keep to a budget as well, because of course at the end of the day it's a business, so you have to make sure you're within the time frame of time and money, and you just wanted to make sure you get it done on a certain deadline, because that person would want it out in the park at that time, or in the hotel, or sometimes I did do work for all around the world as well, for Merlin. So I worked for that side of the park as well, where they exactly the same, but they'll ship it off to different places like California or Florida, and all different areas where Legolands are, basically. So we would do a lot of work because we were of high standards. We were I think Windsor is the highest standard of Legoland, so they were known, the model makers there were the best of the best in certain respects. So I think a lot of why we got so many jobs in was because they knew what they were getting as well. But it was always fun because you were given a brief, but your brief was always quite different, and each person had their own individual like skills that they were best at. I mean, everyone was amazing at everything, but certain things that you did enjoy a lot more, and it's always good to bounce ideas off each other as well, like when you're making stuff, because sometimes you don't think of the idea that they do sometimes, because you just like are working on it too much, you can't see. Yes, that was a fabulous time in my life. And then I decided I've been there for quite a while, and I've done so many models, and I've built so much stuff and learnt so much things, and I just wasn't happy in the area of Windsor. It comes down to it, really. I just felt sometimes Windsor wasn't, I felt I couldn't spread my wings anymore there. Let's put it that way. I couldn't feel myself grow anymore there. I felt like it was enclosing me a little bit. So I thought, okay, it's time for me to move on. It's time for me to try something new. And at this stage, there's quite a lot of people leaving as well. So I thought, well, okay, let's go for it. Let's just take the plunge and run and fly, because sometimes you have to do that in life, and in my life I do that quite a lot. For example, when I was to uni, and like I said, when I was at uni I found out I was dyslexic as well, so that was a massive thing when I found that out. But then that kind of made sense to other reasons why I did things, so it kind of was a huge shock, but then it wasn't in certain respect. So yeah, I went off from Legoland and started developing myself again, taking my YouTube channel, I'm growing, and as well with my art, I'm trying new stuff. Up to now, I am now doing a lot more 2D stuff and digital things and developing on this. So I've been using a lot more digital stuff and making really cool like art pieces and having 2D stuff and making it like a lot of montagey layering, and it's quite vibrant, I'd say, but I love the idea of layering it up, and you look into the art and you can see more and more stuff, and I love it if the art does speak to you, because that is my aim. I want my art to kind of tell you a story and speak to you and make you think things and make you wonder stuff. Wonder or wonder? Both of them are fabulous. Make you think about life basically, and just, yeah, ponder over things. I mean, I do a bit of everything still in my art, the subject matter, but I always think where I'm going now, I think I'm going to keep to montage art kind of theme, and I love the idea of layering up stuff and doing it digitally but still looks textured and all that kind of stuff as well, because I love it how it is textured. I love paintings when they're textured, and I'm always interested in stuff like that, and art history. I've always, of course, interested in art history and how the old painters like Van Gogh paint the sunflowers, and you see the layers upon layers of paint, thick paint and stuff. And I've always am inspired by different artists, be it most famous artists to anyone who's on Instagram that I think are really cool, or Facebook or anywhere like this. Anyone who's an artist who isn't massive, they still can inspire someone, because if their art is amazing, that's amazing. It doesn't matter how many followers you got, it is amazing. So I think sometimes you can be inspired by a small person. It doesn't have to always be a huge person that inspires you. And I always am getting inspired by new artists and people out there. Yeah, so I think that is where it's up to date at the moment. Like I said, I'm doing a lot more digital stuff, so do go and check that out now. Also, I am on Etsy, so if you want to go and check out my store, because you can buy art from there as well. So I've recently just gone onto Etsy, just want to sell my stuff and hopefully make a living out of it. So we'll see what happens. If you are an artist or you want to give me any advice on anything, do so in the comment box. It's always fabulous to hear from you guys out there, and it's always cool to know what you think of stuff. If you haven't already joined my RazDaz family, do so now by clicking the little subscribe button and be part of my bubble community online. And as well, click that little bell so you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. Like I say, go and check out all my social medias, such as RazDazThemArt. I am on Instagram and on Facebook, so go and check them out right now. I'll see you guys later. And if you've got any other questions, do put them in the comment box as well, because I don't know how much I've said or not said. I'll see you guys later, and say crafting creative. Woo.